Hello, 7th graders, and welcome to Chapter 2. And today we're going to look at Lesson 2-1, which is on the properties of numbers. And tonight's lesson, we have two main objectives. First, you will be able to identify properties of addition and multiplication. And you're also going to be able to use these properties we talk about tonight to solve different problems. First, though, we have 4 warm-ups, and this is on adding or subtracting integers. So because this is review from last chapter, I think I want you to do these first and then come back and let's make sure we're all warmed up and we have the right answers. So go ahead and pause the video now. All right, and I think I'm going to jump out of order this time and I'm going to answer number 1 and 3 and then I'm going to go to 2 and 4. Because 1 and 3 have to do with adding integers and 2 and 4 have to do with subtracting. All right. So when we talk about adding integers, before we talked about if they have the same sign, you add. Remember, you just add them. And if they're different, subtract and then put the sign that is bigger in front. So if you look at number 1, we have a negative 18 plus a negative 7. Because these are both negative, you add them together. So negative 18 plus a negative 7, well, that would be 14, 15, negative 25. All right, so number 1, you should get negative 25. Now number 2, you look, we have negative 13 plus 6. This time the signs are different. We have a negative 13 and a positive 6. So when the signs are different, you end up subtracting their absolute values. So basically, treat them both as if they're positive and subtract. 13 minus 6 is 7. However, now I look back up, 13 is a bigger number, and that started out as a negative. So my answer is a negative 7. All right, and you may not have used these rules to solve them. Maybe you did a number line. Maybe you used models. That's okay, too. Now, number 2 and 4, this is when we're subtracting integers. And remember, that's when you just add the opposite. All right, so you leave the 32 alone, the minus switches into a plus, and the opposite of negative 3 is 3. So now I have 32 plus 3, which is 35. Okay, do the same below. 2 minus turns into a plus. 48 is now a negative 48. So this one I look at, well, they're different signs, so I have to subtract them. 48 minus 2 is 46. And 48 started as a negative, so it's a negative 46. All right, so those are what you should have had for the warm-up. Now we're going to look at today's lesson. And to begin, I actually have a problem first. And I think this might not be in the same order in your notes this one time, because I might have flipped a few things around. But it says Carlos spent $42 on his golf game. He then bought a bottle of water for $2 and a chef's salad for $8. What was the total cost for his golf game and meal? All right, now for you guys in 7th grade, this is going to seem like an easy problem, but I want you to solve it. All right, just solve it how you normally would. And go ahead, pause me now and do it. All right, now I'm going to show you a couple different ways people might have done it. Some people would just say, oh, okay, I have to add 42, 2, and 8. So I add them together, and I get $52. That's normal too. However, some people they might have seen that, oh, I could do this mentally. And I could look at these numbers. There are 2 numbers here that are really easy to add together mentally. And that would be 42 and 8. Because I know 42 and 8, if you add them together, is $50. Well, all that stuff is too. $52. So today we're going to look at more mental math and how you can use these strategies that I show you today to solve numbers mentally. All right, and there are 3 properties that you'd use. The first is the commutative property, then there's the associative, then there's the identity property. And I put them together. So commutative property of addition or multiplication, basically you can change the order of the values you are either adding or multiplying, and it doesn't change the end result. And we can talk about this with people. At the bottom here, I'm going to make some people. Okay, there's 1. There's 2. And don't ask me what's going on with their ears, because I don't even know. And there's 3. All right. Now I have my green, red, and blue person, or maybe I should call them bears. That would probably work too. All right. Basically, though, what I'm saying is I can switch orders. I can say, okay, I want the red guy over here, and I want the green one over at the end. All right. So I switch their order, but does it change the characters or the colors that I have up here? And the answer to that is no. I still have the same three, they're just in a different order. And that's how it works with this commutative property. You can change the order, and it doesn't change the sum or the product. Now, on the side, I have 6 different mathematical sentences. Find the ones where I change the order from one side to the other, and write them here and here on your notes. Can you find them? All right. I can help you out. On the first one, I see, well, 6 plus 4 is the same thing as 4 plus 6. So that would be considered one of them. Woo, and I'm moving everything else. All right, so that would be considered one of them. And then the other one, well, you're looking for one with multiplication, that would be the 9 times 5 or the 5 times 9. 9 times 5 is 45, just like 5 times 9 is 45. It didn't change. All right, and then we have the associative property, and this has to do with parentheses or grouping symbols. Basically, you can change the grouping of the values that you're either adding or multiplying, and it won't change the sum or product. So basically, it has to do with the parentheses. All right, and if you take a look, really, here in this one, I have 9 times 4, and then times 5, or then I have 4 times 5 times 9. Again, remember, you always solve within the parentheses first. And it doesn't matter what one you solve first. If I did 36 here times 5, I get 180. And here, if I did 20, or times 5 is 20, times 9, I get 180. So either way, I got 180, even though they switched the grouping. All right? And then this one as well. They didn't change the order. Here, it's important to recognize they didn't change the order of some of these. I'm going to lock this into place so it doesn't happen. There we go. There. All right, they just changed the grouping. It's still 2 plus 7 plus 3 in order, 2 plus 7 plus 3. They just changed what's in parentheses. So that's something you want to look out for. All right, then you have the identity property of addition and multiplication. And the way I always look at it with I tell my kids to look at it, is the identity. There is no one out there that is just like you. You are special in your own way. You are a gift from God. So really, when things happen, it doesn't change the answer. It doesn't change you. And this one you have to separate out. And I'm going to underline the sum piece in green. So anytime you add 0 to a number, it's always going to be that other number. Anything plus 0 is going to be that number. So the answer doesn't change. All that changes, well, you're adding it by 0. That's it. Now, multiplication, the idea is, again, we want something that won't change it. It won't change that number we're multiplying by. The answer to that number. So what number can we multiply by? And it doesn't change it. The product of any number and 1 is the original. So anything times 1 is always the other number. All right? So that's the idea on that one. So again, you'd add any number to 0 or multiply any number by 1, and it's going to be the identity property. So now we have to, too far. We have to name each property shown. We'll do A and B together, and then I want you to try to figure out the last two. So A, we have 17 plus x plus 3, and then is the same as 17 plus 3 plus x. So if you take a look, what really changed? Did the order change? Did the grouping? Or are they multiplying by 1 or adding by 0? And if you take a look, here, it goes 17 plus x plus 3. Here, it's 17 plus 3 plus x. So the order changed. So here you'd write the commutative property. And then you have to say, what is it doing here? Is it adding or multiplying? Well, with all the plus signs, it's of addition. So A is commutative property of addition. Now we look at B. We have 36 times 2 times 10. Then we have is the same as 2 times 10 times 36. Again, did the order change? Did the numbers change the order? Or did the numbers change in order? Excuse me. Did the groupings change? Or are we multiplying by 1 or adding by 0? Here, you'll notice we are multiplying 36 times 2. And here you're multiplying 2 times 10. So here the grouping changed, so it's an associative property. And again, here, we're not actually adding, so this is of multiplication. Alright? And when you're doing this, it's almost like finding the difference. If you've ever played the find the difference game, that's what you're doing from one side to the other. Now C, indeed, I would like you to do now on your own. Again, try them out, write what property it is, and then come back and see if you're right. Go ahead and do that now. All right, so hopefully you had a chance to try to figure these out. On this one, it's going K times M is the same as K times N times 1. On this one, they just changed it by multiplying by 1. Well, if you multiply by 1, that's the identity property of multiplication. You're multiplying by 1. There we go. And then D, we have 103 plus 26 plus 4. And then we have 103 plus the sum 26 plus 4. Again, you're looking to see the difference, and here the grouping changed. So this is the associative property. And this time they're adding, so of addition. Alright. So here's the thing. Now it comes to a problem you might actually see again. You're not going to have a lot of those real world situations. You're going to say, oh, well, that's a commutative property, or that's the associative property. But really, you use those skills without realizing it. They want you to use mental math, meaning no writing down the problem or anything like that, solving it, and just simplify that. 48 plus 7 plus 2. Now, we know with order of operations, usually you start with parentheses. However, they want us to use mental math. Now, you might be able to do 48 plus 7 in your head, but really, there's a number that's easier to add than that. And I would do 48 plus 2 because, well, that gives me 50. So I'm using the commutative property. I'm changing the order and the grouping, really. I could say, oh, 48 plus 2 plus 7. And that is 50 plus 7 is 57. So again, it's flipping numbers around in your head to try to solve this. Here. Suppose you buy school supplies costing 45 cents, 65 cents, and $1.55. Use mental math to find the cost of these supplies. So then find those numbers that give you a nice whole number, or a nice number to add with, and then solve it. So go ahead and actually do this on your own, and let's see if we get the same. Go ahead and pause me now. All right, so hopefully you saw that 45 cents and $1.55. If you add 45 cents and 55 cents, that actually gives you $1. So we have $2, well, plus 65 cents. So 2.65. That is how much that was spent on school supplies. All right, and then let's get to our next problem here. Oh, now we're using one with multiplication. Use mental math to simplify. 20 times 13 times 5. Again, find numbers that are easy to multiply together first, and then do the next piece. So go ahead and do that now, and just pause it and check your answer. All right, so hopefully you had a chance to do that. And I see that 20 times 5, well, that's 100. I know that. And then I times that by 13. 13 times 100 is 1,300, or 1,300. There we go. That's what you should have had for 5. And now we're at the end of the lesson with a quick check. All right. Let's see. And here they say name each property shown. And this time they don't give us numbers, but they still want you to tell the property. All right, go ahead and do number 1 first. We have diamond plus circle is the same as circle plus diamond. What property is that? If you find yourself writing the commutative of addition, the commutative property of addition, you would be right. It was diamond circle, then circle diamond. They switched the order. If you got number 1 right, cross out number 2. All right. However, if you got number 1 wrong, you should probably try number 2 right now. All right, this one that goes square times, well, circle plus diamond is the same as square plus, oh, that one, I don't think it's quite right. All right, I'm going to switch this to diamond times square. All right, so I'm going to fix that whole problem. Give me a moment here. Circle plus diamond in parentheses times squared. All right, and this one, what actually changes is the order, because if you take a look, it's still the same things in the parentheses. All that changed is what comes first. So here, it would still be the commutative property. I apologize for having to fix that. I had no idea it was wrong. Commutative property of, well, let's see, we've changed the order of the full multiplication. All right. Let's see. And then I think we're going to stop it there for tonight. I hope to see you in class tomorrow. Have a good night.